back by unpopular demand. It's the OK Football Championship prediction show. I hope you all had a good Christmas and a happy new year. But myself and my co-host Mark Ryman, we're back to ruin your week with some outrageous predictions. How are we getting on, Mark?
New year, new me. I'm going to get at least one right a week.
That's the New Year resolution, isn't it?
Yeah, let's see. It could be one. Could be one. I did all right actually before our little Christmas break. But it's been a mental 3 games, isn't it, for some of these teams?
Yeah, I'm glad we haven't been doing this because there are some games that were just impossible to call, other than the fact that Luton have lost three in a row.
Some more predictable than others.
That would have been predictable, wouldn't it? But alas, we weren't doing this. But let's kick this off with, I believe, it's a derby.
It is a derby. You've got it right. It's a derby. It's an actual derby. Yeah.
It's Blackburn Rovers versus Burnley. Although Joe from the Burnley pods, I think, what is it called? Twitter podcast. Turfcast. There you go. What he refers to Blackburn Rovers as. I don't think I can say this on the show, but it's funny. It involves an animal and something but I won't mention
probably
it.
Best. Yeah, probably best not. No.
I'll kick this off. I've gone 2-2 for this one because it's a derby. Pulses are racing.
Yeah. And I mean, look, Burnley hold the trump card in this derby as well. I don't think Blackburn have won this derby in God knows how long. And then saying that, I've predicted them to win 2-1. I just think like the last time this derby happened was at the end of the season. Burnley went up, wasn't it? And of course, they lifted the trophy at the Park, which, you know, I can't imagine the pain that would have caused Blackburn fans. So they really do owe them one at home. But, you know, Burnley are a very tough nut to crack. And despite a couple of uninspiring 0-0 draws in their last 2 games, it's a very different one, a derby, isn't it? It's such a hard one to call. I think that I did make this prediction without realising, though, Hashi was injured. My bad. So that might be problematic. But yeah, I've gone 2-1 Blackburn. Let's see.
Look, form goes out the window. Blackburn come into this with just 1 win in their last 5, and that being their 5th game ago. So since then, it's been lost, draw. And Burnley come into this off the back of back-to-back draws, but 3 wins before that. As I said, form goes out the window.
Yeah.
There are dues to be paid, pipers to be sang at. I'm running out of cliches, but you know the way Burnley acted when they went to Blackburn and won the title there, lifted the trophy there. You know, Blackburn fans, if you remember those scenes, it got pretty leery, got pretty rowdy.
Yeah, it would do, wouldn't it? I mean, yeah, it's they, like we say, they definitely owe them one. So let's see.
And see we shall. Next up, it's Stoke City versus Plymouth Argyle. One team has just appointed a new manager. Mark Robins, I think, is a astute appointment, and Plymouth have just waved bye-bye mutually to Wayne Rooney. Where do you sit on this one?
Well, will Mark Robins break the graveyard of managers cycle at Stoke? Will he finally do something at a club with all the potential, all the backing, all the money, and everything else? And apparently, you know, all of these good managers that come in and fail to do anything, bar their last one in Pella, that they've had some pretty, you know, well-established managers go there and do nothing. So let's see. I really like Mark Robins. I've made that very clear on this podcast and our Luton podcast as well. And I'm disappointed that as a Luton fan we didn't go in for him. Or, you know, give ourselves a chance. I've gone for 1-1. I thought Plymouth were very good value for their 2-2 draw against Bristol City, and if it wasn't for some absolutely car crash opening the door to allow Bristol City in defending, which as Luton fans, we are well accustomed to. They would and perhaps should have won that game. I think Stoke have done very well in their last two fixtures as well. Getting 4 points from Sunderland and Burnley is incredible, really. So it sets them off at good stead. And of course, it's Robin's first full game in charge. 1-1, I can't call it. I can't call it because I think both of them are in good form despite different results.
I've also gone 1-1 here. And look, if Mark Robins can't get a tune out of Stoke and get them above lower mid-table, then there's no hope. There is no hope for Stoke City. Yes, there's been a lot of talk about, is Mark Robins the full Mark Robins without AD Vivash? I think he's going to have a good backroom staff there. Plymouth Argyle, yes, it was a Christmas to forget for them. Coventry dismantled them, and Oxford got a good win, but that's a revitalised Oxford, getting that 2-0 there. I thought they were good value against Sheffield United and then Borough. Personally, I thought Rooney, if given a bit more time, could have got more of a tune out of this Plymouth squad, particularly because Morgan Whittaker is back now, and he is like talismanic for them.
He was good in the last game as well. He set up their first goal, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They got players back now, but I'm thinking 1-1 here. It's early days for Mark Robins. He's got to sort of. It's like buying a car that someone's been smoking in for years. You just got to take it to the valet over and over again until you get all that stoky bad smell out of it. It could take him a while.
It's going to take a while to get that out. That is going to take a while. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Whether he was, he's so synonymous now with Coventry. What was he, 8 years there?
9.
Yeah, he's so synonymous with them. It's one of those. It will be really interesting to see how he does at another club. And how much of the control that he has, because for a long time at Coventry, because of their absolute issues off the field, he pretty much ran the team from top to bottom, and the issues came with Doug King and him not being able to do that, essentially. So let's see what it's like with the Coates family and how much control he gets and how well he does. But yeah, I hope he does well. I do. Hopefully not at our expense, though.
It's not the Coates family I'm worrying about for Mark Robins. It's John Walters.
Yeah,
because John Walters has made 2 managerial appointments, and I thought Schumacher would have worked out.
Yeah.
Pella did not work out. Pella was 100% a John Walters appointment. So I guess we'll see what happens with Stoke and Mark Robins. It'll definitely be one to keep an eye on. It really will. Who do you reckon Plymouth will be going for?
That's a really interesting one. I think they'd be desperate to get Schumacher back. It feels very Nathan Jones-ish to me at Luton, and obviously gone to Stoke, not done as well as what they thought. I don't think his stock is completely destroyed from Stoke, but I can't. Yeah, for me, he knows the team, he knows the club. He can get a good tune out of them. The fans, I think, would be happy to have him back as well. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
No, I think that's a really good shout, and I think it's a match made in heaven. I think a lot of his players are still there. He hasn't been gone that long. I think it's just been 2 seasons, hasn't it?
Yeah,
and it would be very Nathan Jonesian.
It certainly
very much. It's almost written in the stars, and Plymouth have a team that you could get out the mire, really. Right, on to Swansea versus West Brom. Now, this is a funny one because Swansea, after watching them against Luton Town I would have sworn that they were the second coming of Barcelona. And then Portsmouth go and smash them 4-0.
Someone's been at the Christmas brandy, mate. That's clearly what's happened, right? When was it, lads? When was the night out? Because seriously, you don't go. And obviously beating QPR, who are a really good form at home 3-0. They'd beaten Luton Town 2-1 very convincingly. That scoreline does flatter Luton. They were essentially the goalkeeper passed it directly to Morris to allow him to score. Good finish, but still a gift. To then get absolutely hammered by Pompey. Yeah, you're right in saying it's a funny one. And I guess that it's how much weight you put on that result. And West Brom obviously beating Preston North End 3-1 in their last game as well. I've gone for a 1-0 West Brom win, but it'll be tight. I'm really hard to tell, as you said. It's really hard to gauge based on that.
It's so hard to gauge. It depends how direct West Brom are. I've gone for a 2-1 away win for West Brom, mainly because I feel they'll be able to win the ball back off Swansea. That's the thing. You win the midfield battle, you attack them, and you see what's going to happen. Plus, there's all this speculation about Harry Darling, that he's going to leave at the end of the year, and he's been quite an important defensive figure for them. So I'm backing West Brom here. Really am. Yeah. Right. On to... Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, it'll be interesting with West Brom as well, of course, in terms of what happens on their managerial side. I think they've coped very well in losing who I would argue is the best manager in the league, as I'd said previously.
Of course, because Corberan left.
He's left, yeah. But it is, I suppose that's the compliment in itself that we barely noticed. That's probably unfair. But that must have been awful. When was it? Something like, was it on Christmas Day or Boxing Day it was announced? It was, pretty awful timing. But
I remember the time thinking, oh God, they're screwed. Yeah. But nope, they've just, it's been business as usual, lost, draw, win.
Yeah. I think they'll attract a good manager. I know they've had those financial constraints this year, but with a new ownership model and things looking up, particularly for the summer, I think they'll attract a good manager in there ready for next season. And if they don't get playoffs this season, I think they will, but if they don't get playoffs this season, I think they'll really be challenging for maybe even top 2 next season.
It could be one that's made for Steve Cooper. I honestly don't know that. Yeah. He could go in there, pick up the reins, and just sort of, exactly. It's just almost too perfect. He's a good manager. He shouldn't be out of work. Right, on to another team that made Luton look relatively ordinary. It was Bristol City versus, both these teams really. Bristol City versus Derby County. I'll kick this off. I've gone 2-0 Bristol City. Derby don't really travel well. They nearly had a win against Luton. I've mentioned it a few times. I watched this one with Ryan Dilks because I brought him with to the game, and he was in shock because he's obviously a Derby fan. He was in shock. He said that is the most undeserved victory I think I've ever seen. And that just goes to show with Derby, they fall apart away from home. Bristol City, I'm not a fan of their starting striker. I think if Sam Bell starts, maybe they'll get a better chance. So if they get it right, 2-0.
Snap. So I've gone 2-0 as well. I would say, though, the 4-2 scoreline does not properly explain the Sheffield Wednesday Derby County game. That was mad. Do you see the Windass goal from inside his own half?
Pretty good goal, right?
Pretty good goal. That is crazy. And the
keeper was quite far off his line.
He was, but I wonder, and again, those Wednesday fans that were in the ground, I know how awful the weather was around this area where I live in the East Midlands. I wonder if it was that bad in Sheffield, because if he managed to score that with the wind hurling around as well, that is absolutely insane.
It was very straight.
Yeah, amazing. But Derby were well in that game. Some pretty ordinary defending for a couple of the goals as well, and you've got to say that some of their defenders need a bit of pace, and that's part of the problem. But yeah, I mean, they can count themselves unlucky to lose it, which sounds mad considering they were 3-0 down in that game. But I do feel like that they've been better in the last 2 away games than the results have shown. But yeah, I'm still going for a 2-0 Bristol City win for the same reasons you said as well.
Yeah, fair play. Right, on to Hull City versus Leeds, and I'm going for the crazy score of the week. I've gone 1-0 Hull because it's Leeds away from home. Yeah, it's pretty bold, isn't it? Hull have impressed me under Sellers.
Yeah,
they haven't had all the results go their way, but it's not too bad. They went to Blackburn, they won there. Tight game against Borough nicking it at the death, really. And they turned a corner, in my opinion, under Sellers. They really have. their games have been very, very tight, and Sellers has come in and just tightened them right up. They've all been 1-0s, wins or losses, really.
Yeah, he's done the classic new manager tying them up at the back. I think against Borough, they didn't really offer much going forward. I think Borough probably, you'd argue, deserved to win the game, but they did leave it until something like the 93rd minute to do it. But yeah, and I think it's the lack of attack that for me means that they're going to struggle to outscore Leeds. I know what you're saying about Leeds away from home, but still, I think, I still see them winning it 2-1 though, so it'll be tight. I agree with you. I think Sellers has done a good job since he's gone in there. They've just been unlucky on who they've had to play, right? As well, they've had a tough old run. Last two fixtures, Borough at home and Blackburn away, is not easy, and they've got to win out of one of those two games. I think they'll be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, but who knows? It depends. Leeds have been absolutely flying. Obviously, away from home, they've sorted that away form. They're stacked. Like there's no doubt about it. Leeds are going up this year. Ridiculous team.
Of course. Yeah.
Right, on to Middlesbrough versus Cardiff. What are your thoughts?
2-0 Borough. I think Cardiff have been doing better since their loss to Oxford. Obviously, they beat Watford away, which was a shock. And they got a draw against Cov as well. So, yeah, they've been doing much better, but they've got a lot of catching up to do in terms of competing, I think, in this game. Borough, on the other hand, lots of crazy draws, a couple of 3-3s in there, or 0-0s. Who knows what's going to happen? It's one of those. They've got a fairly lengthy injury list as well, but still going forwards and at home, I can't see Cardiff getting anything from this. Yeah, 2-0 Borough.
Yeah, I don't think Borough will leave this one as late as they did. No. So I've also gone for a 2-goal scoreline. I got 3-1 Middlesbrough. I don't know where that Cardiff result against Watford came from. Crazy. But I think Cardiff have like a long-standing hoodoo over Watford, which I'm not complaining about for unbiased reasons. But I think going to the Riverside, Borough, they're going to be clinical. I really feel it. Cardiff will probably try and shut up shop, but once the first one goes in, they're going to have to go and try and get an equaliser, and then they just leave themselves open to bam, bam, bam. So, yeah, Borough 3, Cardiff 1. Right, on to Norwich versus Frank Lampard's Coventry City. It seems Frank Lampard won El Sacchio against Wayne Rooney's Plymouth Argyle. But
he did, yeah.
How's this game going to go?
He won that. They drew against Millwall, didn't they? And then they got the draw against Cov as well. I mean, as you said, they've been far from convincing. I was never convinced by Rooney. I know he had his spells. I know that the attacking play was exciting, but just completely naive going the other way. But the same goes for Lampard for me. There's a long way to go before I'm convinced by him as a manager. And I was really, really going to push on for a Norwich win, especially at Carrow Road. But watching Luton play Norwich, and I know Norwich won that game, you'd probably argue that undeservedly so overall. I don't think Luton blew them away by any stretch. It just wasn't a very good game. Norwich were a lot poorer in that game than I expected them to be. And for that reason, I've gone 2-2 here. I'm really not convinced. And at home, Norwich are not the team that they were the last season and the start of this season. I know they're still picking up a few points at home, but they have started to lose the odd game and drop points at home. So yeah, I've gone 2-2 for that reason.
So I understand why Norwich weren't so great at Kenilworth Road, because they don't travel well. That was only their third win on their travels this season. So they simply don't travel well. Plus, the weather was atrocious. But for this one, Coventry have an abundance of attacking talent. But between the sticks, I think they're struggling to find a keeper that can, hold on to a ball for them. There have been some absolute calamitous attempts at saving the ball from their keeper. I've got Norwich 3-2 here because I don't think you're going to get the same Norwich at Carrow Road, where they've only lost twice in a calendar year, that turned up at Kenilworth Road. But I completely agree. I do completely agree. But essentially, they played without a centre forward for that game for a big part of it. And I think Coventry just are quite frail at the back. It's Frank Lampard ball. I do think it's just the ridiculous talent they have going forward that will cover up a deficit here, really. That's all I can think about.
Yeah.
Mason Clark, what a player.
Yeah, player. And you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, Norwich at home are definitely stronger than they are away from home, of course. Just haven't been so convinced with them at Carrow Road as I was to start the season. Marcondes and Sainz, we know how amazing both of those players can be. Been a bit more patchy, you might argue, over the last few games. Maybe Sainz has set the bar so high early on that it's almost impossible to meet it. That's probably more likely the case. It's levelled out a bit. Or maybe it's all part of the plan just to try and keep him for January. Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Did you see that complete air shot?
Yeah. Thank God. I basically turned away expecting that the net to bulge. You give Sainz a player like that at the edge of the box a shot. But yeah, exactly.
I was convinced that was in.
Mm-hmm.
There was no one in front of him. But it's still, it happens. It happens.
It does.
We won't dwell
he's
on
human.
it. Yeah, he's human. He's letting everyone catch up with in the Golden Boot race. Yeah. Right, on to Preston North End versus Gary Rowett's Oxford. No, it doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
Yeah, I don't think Gary Rowett's quite there yet. I don't think he's quite had the playing career as Frank Lampard and Wayne.
He's done a job here, though. He's done a job.
Brilliantly.
Three back-to-back wins.
Yeah. And this is my not crazy result, but considering that they just edged it over Millwall, I think Millwall can feel pretty unlucky. They lost that game. A good goal on the counter-attack. After however many countless chances for Millwall to score as well. I've gone Preston North End 1, Oxford United 3 for this game. Don't ask me why. I feel it in my bones. I think a 3-1. That would be back-to-back 3-1 losses for Preston, of course, as well. Jamie Cumming in goal, just worth mentioning him and how brilliant he was in that game to keep Millwall out. Absolutely amazing. And Rodriguez looks like a right player as well, doesn't he?
He is.
Yeah, 3-1.
So I've gone for a Desmond here. I've gone 2-2. The player I want to pick out for Oxford is, I'll try and not butcher this name. Kate can put the name across the screen. Premature placenta or something like that. So he's
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Whatever his name
have
is.
butchered that name.
2 goals, 2 assists in the last 3 games, and he's come back from injury.
Placenta, I think it's pronounced. I might be wrong, but it's definitely not pronounced placenta. Let's go with that.
Premature placenta. You say that name is not premature placenta.
Just something about it just sounds like it might be wrong. I'm not sure.
Parents will name their kids anything these days.
They surely will, right?
Yeah, so
good
2 goals,
player,
2 assists. Yeah, he's very good. He's come back from injury, and it's helped Oxford as well. As well as having those players like Ruben Rodriguez. What a player, as you said, and I don't think Brannigan's even back yet as well.
No.
So it's been tough because they've had so many injuries, and Dembele's one of them as well, like a real big loss. Is it Dembele or Sissoko? I can't remember. But, they've had a loss in terms of having players. And Rowett, he's done exactly what I said he would do. He comes in, tightens them up, no frills, let a specific attacking player do the business for you, essentially. It's like Jed Wallace. Jed Wallace at Millwall. Essentially, it's the rest of your job is to essentially defend, keep the ball out of our goal, and then when you can, get the ball to your creative players, like your Goodrums, your Placentas, your your Ruben Rodriguez's, and then let them play football, because there's no
Yeah.
point in the entire team playing football. Just let the playmakers play, and it works.
Yeah.
Rowett has been a very successful mid-championship manager.
He knows how to get teams on a low budget in decent positions, and that's exactly what Oxford needed, despite the fact that we both think that the sacking of Des Buckingham was premature. That one definitely is true.
Yeah, but for the owners, very wealthy owners, I think going the Rowett route for a couple of seasons just to acclimatise Oxford to the level, possibly even back him a little bit so he can get them on the cusp of the playoffs like he did with Millwall, and then you can go a bit more ambitious with your managerial appointment.
Yeah.
I think Rowett was the best option, and for people that listen to our Luton Town stuff, when we were talking about who would succeed Rob Edwards, although Rob Edwards is likely going to be at Luton until the
in
heat
2035.
death. Yeah, exactly, until the heat death of the universe. Like, Rob Edwards will be at Luton Town. They are not sacking him. So I have said Rowett is the person I would have wanted at Luton Town if Rob Edwards were to be given the boot. But unfortunately, that's gone now. That's done. I think it's a very good appointment. I don't know if I've said the score. I think I went for a 2-2. Yeah, I mentioned it. It's already there on the screen.
We've both gone for 4 goals, just spread out slightly differently.
Yeah. Right. Time for Danny Roll's Sheffield Wednesday versus Millwall.
I've gone for 1-1 on this one. On the reasons that both of their results being wildly different from each other don't really reflect how they played in their last game. Sheffield Wednesday, some great goals. Don't get me wrong, some absolutely great goals in that game. I think 2 goals in like 2 or 3 minutes to make it 3-0 from 1-0. The Windass shot from inside his own half was absolutely incredible, and then Gassama's goal, death finish against keeper, sort of sealed it. But you would argue that Derby probably had the better chance in that game, or had the better of the play for a lot of it at least. Millwall lost, probably didn't deserve to as well. So on that, I think it evens it out 1-1 for me on that.
Interesting. I've gone 1-0 Wednesday. I've been so impressed with them, battling for the playoffs. Millwall have had a bit of a drop. Alex Neil in there. I think he's another former Stoke manager. I think he's better than Stoke give him. I think he's better than Stoke give him credit for, because essentially, as you say, well, who isn't a Stoke manager? Managers go in there, have their reputations ruined, and then they're left picking up pieces. I think he will do a good job at Millwall. I don't think Millwall are going to be going for the playoffs, but I think this is a season of acclimatization. It's been a hectic season for Millwall already, what with their goalkeeper passing away like really unexpectedly and so awful. Young before the season even started, and then their long-term chairman passing away as well. It was always going to be a tough season because you're going in with a lot of instability, but I think Danny Roll, he's on a roll, I think, and Sheffield Wednesday, it's going to be a tight 1-0, but I could be wrong. They could win by a larger margin. It's early days yet for Alex Neil. Very early days.
It is.
Right, on to Watford versus Sheffield United. I've gone for a 2-1 Sheffield United away win. Watford's crazy good home form has been breached. Praise the Lord. I mean, this is unbiased, obviously. But Sheffield United, Harry Souttar, he's a long-term injury doubt now, isn't he? Gone back to Leicester.
Yeah, he's which is going to be a big loss. Obviously, got him at the start of the season. Has done brilliantly for them. There's a few round the back who are struggling, aren't there? So I think it's going to be a big problem for them. A couple of other injuries in there as well, like Ratsaki is also going to be a miss for them.
But they got the squad. They do have a squad, and Chris Wilder, regardless of his post-match interview, blaming everything under the sun, I still think he's good. I think he's still good there.
He's good, but he's grumpy. There's
He's
nothing
very
that will stop
grumpy.
that man
He's
being
such a
grumpy.
Yorkshire pudding, mate.
He's a very, very grumpy South Yorkshireman, yes. But yeah, I've gone for 2-1 as well, by the way, Snap. I think it's, you say praise the Lord, and, as Luton fans, we never mind at seeing Watford lose. However, it could have been against teams that aren't around us, preferably, but never mind. Yeah, we probably need to do the business ourselves as well. But yeah, no, me too. I've gone for a 2-1 win here. I think obviously they missed the penalty to go ahead against Sunderland, and then I think that would have been a different story had Kiefer Moore converted. And I think, yeah, again, 1-1 against West Brom. They lost 2-0 against Burnley. They've not been on a great run, but I see it changing because they haven't been playing badly in most of those games. So yeah, 2-1 for me too.
Fair play. Right. Sunderland versus Portsmouth. I've gone 2-0 Sunderland here. I think Sunderland fans will like that one. It'd be very easy to back Portsmouth considering they just scored 4. But I think Sunderland at home, can't look past Sunderland at home. 2-0.
Every time you go first, you've predicted exactly the same score as me, just so you know. 2-0, Sunderland, same reason. All I'd add is that 09 didn't have his best game. Penalty and an own goal. It's not great, is it? I wonder how many times Luke 09 has done that to players and gotten away with it, though. That is classic Luke 09 dragging the player back. I don't know whether you saw their penalty that Kiefer Moore, his penalty was saved. But yeah, it's classic 09. He is, yes, he is. I can't say it without swearing, but you know what he is. Everybody knows what he is. And he's one of those players that you love him if he plays for you and everybody else hates him. But didn't have a great game there. Yeah, 2-0 for the same reasons you said. Sunderland at home, too strong.
He's had some right moments for the highlight reel, hasn't he? Luke 09. Yeah. Right. And I think save the best till last, right?
If you're a QPR fan, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's QPR versus Luton Town. And what are your thoughts?
3-0 QPR. I think it will be the reverse of the fixture that was last at Loftus Road. This will be the treble for QPR, having then beaten us twice in the league and once in the cup as well. And I have a feeling there'll be a clip of me saying that it'd be nice to beat QPR when we're back in the Championship, doing the rounds, and fairly so as well. They've been so much better over the last few weeks, bar that result against Swansea. I've been really impressed with QPR, and they were, easily the best team against Watford in their last game as well. Easily the best team. And yeah, Dunn had a absolutely ridiculous game. 3-0.
I've gone tighter. I've gone QPR 1, Luton 0. For all the things that people can say about Luton Town, defensively, well, maybe not on the road. Defensively, Luton haven't been so shambolic, I want to say. It's improved slightly. But QPR under Cifuentes, that turnaround is remarkable. And the signing of Ronnie Edwards as well is inspired.
Huge.
Yeah, it's a huge signing. I think he's one that could have fit in at Luton Town, but never mind. Luton are, according to David Wilkinson, the chairman, playing the long game. So we'll be interested to see what that is. I don't see a Cifuentes type turnaround coming at Luton Town. Rob Edwards pretty much saying, and we'll talk about this more in the Luton Town match preview that we're going to be recording. It'll probably drop around about the same time. Just check out our channel. Rob saying, I'm a man with a wife and kids. Okay. Well, yeah, you've addressed it in our phone in as well. We can't expect him to resign, but
no,
but it's on the board to sack him, and 100%. The board aren't going to sack him. So,
no,
hopefully he does have a Cifuentes type turnaround in his locker. But You know, as he says, we'll just keep working hard. I think you need more than working hard. You need to be tactically adaptable and make subs before the 84th minute when you're losing.
Yeah, I mean, so many of those things. There just seems to be there's no, sign that anything is going to change, and it's becoming more and more doubling down and condescending comments from the manager and even the board when it comes to Luton. We know more than you, I know more than you, etc. And I'm
save it for the Luton preview.
Oh, I will. Don't worry. There's plenty more to come. But I think that QPR at home are fantastic. Luton traditionally have struggled at Loftus Road, other than their last result too. So yeah, it's going to be a tough day.
Well, tell me your lock of the week then.
That's the one. QPR to beat Luton 3-0.
I was going to go for the same, but I won't. Okay. I'm going to go for Norwich 3, Frank Lampard's Coventry 2. I think that's a pretty good one to do. It'll be a tight one, but yeah, I'm feeling it.
Be a good game.
Right. But that's us done for this week. If you've enjoyed this and you're still watching, why not subscribe to the OK Football channel on our YouTube? Get notified when these little championship bits go live. We're doing a championship show. We're back at the pub this weekend to talk about everything that's gone on in the championship. Check it out. It'll be live on our channel Sunday evening or Monday afternoon. But that's us, and whoever you support, have a great week, and happy Friday. Let's go. Game week 26.